As I walked down the church's red carpet, the two front row seats sat empty, like two silent taunts. Eli's father held my arm, the warmth of his palm steadying my trembling fingers. All 76 pairs of eyes in the room fixed on that blank space, the spot where my parents should have been. 3 weeks earlier, they'd flown 3.5 hours in business class across most of the country to attend a housewarming party for my sister Stella's vacation home and stayed for 10 full days. Today, though, a mere 30-minute drive away, they claimed my mother's back pain was too much to bear and skipped my wedding. I didn't cry. I just stared straight ahead at Eli at the end of the aisle, swallowing every bit of hurt deep down. I should have grown used to it long ago. From the day Stella was born, when I was 5, I should have known I would always be the one overlooked. Eli works as a librarian at the community library, quiet, steady, the first person who ever told me, "You don't have to keep giving." We met at a neighborhood book club, talking about our student loan burdens, about the hard work no one in our families seemed to notice, and slowly grew close. He'd watched my mother call Stella 3 times during family dinners without once asking how my job was going. He'd seen my father respond to my promotion to university academic advisor with a bland "that's nice," then light up as Stella rambled about her yoga studio. He'd watched me send my parents for $100 every month without fail, even when my own heat got shut off in winter, and never once received a thank you. Eli always said I was too foolish, but back then I believed blood was thicker than water, that family was supposed to support each other until their actions kept proving me wrong. Stella is 5 years younger, our parents' precious favorite. She works as a yoga instructor and never worries about making ends meet. My parents not only paid her way through 4 years of private college but also spent $27,000 sending her to Paris for a year abroad. When I got into the University of Iowa, I only received $15,000 in scholarships. The remaining $52,000 in tuition? I covered it all with student loans and 2 part-time jobs. In high school, Stella attended a private Catholic school costing $18,000 a year. While I went to the free public school, my mother said, "Stella's more sensitive. She needs small classes. You're smart, you'll shine anywhere." I believed her. I studied relentlessly, worked weekends at the grocery store, and forced my way through those tough years. I've worked for 10 years, climbing from a junior academic advisor to a senior one, with an annual salary of $68,000 every month, without exception. I sent my parents for $100. Over a decade, that added up to $48,000. I thought such devotion might earn me a little consideration. But when Stella got married, my parents gave her $12,000 toward her wedding and made me cover $8,500 for a porcelain gift set on their behalf, promising to pay me back. They never did. When Eli and I got engaged, my mother only asked coldly, "Does Eli have good insurance?" Librarians don't make much, without a single word of congratulations. Last October, Stella and her husband bought a $340,000 vacation home. My parents immediately bragged about it in the family group chat, booked economy class flights overnight, and paid an extra $45 each way for emergency exit seats just to be more comfortable. They stayed there for 10 days, posting photos on social media every day with captions like "so proud of our girl," yet completely ignored the wedding invitation I'd mailed 5 weeks prior. I texted my mother to ask if she'd had a nice trip. She replied 6 hours later, only saying Stella's house is beautiful. We're exhausted, not mentioning my wedding at all. 12 days before the wedding, my mother called to ask about the ceremony time, her tone full of impatience. When I repeated that the wedding was in Iowa City, only a 30-minute drive away, she made excuses, saying, "At our age, even half an hour in the car feels tiring." I didn't argue. After hanging up, I crossed their names off the seating chart. 4 days before the wedding, my father called to officially say they couldn't come, again blaming my mother's back pain, even calling me selfish and unreasonable, saying Stella needed them more. In that moment, the last flicker of hope inside me died completely. On the wedding day, my Uncle Ray drove 90 minutes to be there and sat in my parents' seats. Eli's family stayed by my side the whole time, keeping me from feeling completely humiliated. After the ceremony, the photographer hesitantly asked if I wanted to wait for my parents for family photos. I smiled and shook my head. I knew they wouldn't come. That night, I turned off my phone. For the first time, I didn't lose sleep over their coldness. I finally stopped waiting. 3 weeks after the wedding, I didn't send my parents the usual $400. Soon enough, my father called, his voice urgent, asking if I'd forgotten. No apology, only concern for the money. I didn't answer or call back. I just stared at the extra $400 in my bank account, a mix of emotions washing over me. It was the first time in 10 years I'd kept that money for myself. In mid-December, my father showed up unexpectedly at my office, clutching a thick folder. Pale and sweating profusely, he hadn't come to apologize. He'd come to have me sign a document saying my great-aunt Martha had passed away and left $45,000 to be split between me and Stella. But the lawyer needed a signed statement from me confirming that the $150,000 education trust fund Grandma Clara had set up for me in 1999 had been fully used for my education. I froze. I'd never heard of any trust fund, and during college, I'd taken on $89,000 in student loans. I forced my father to hand over all the papers. The truth hit me like a knife to the heart. The bank statements clearly showed that between 2008 and 2014, my parents had withdrawn the entire $150,000 from the trust and spent every penny on Stella. Private school tuition, her Paris trip, college fees, and living expenses. Every withdrawal matched Stella's costs. Meanwhile, I'd worked 2 jobs a day and eaten instant noodles for 4 years just to scrape together tuition and bills. At the bottom of the folder was a sealed letter from Grandma Clara, dated 1999. When I was 9 years old, she wrote that she'd seen my parents favoring Stella, knew I was hurting, and set up the trust to give me a free future, so I wouldn't have to worry about tuition. She urged me to stand up for myself if my parents ever misused the money. At the end of the letter, she said, "I see you. You deserve to be loved. You deserve all the good things." In that moment, I couldn't hold back anymore. I buried my face in my arms and sobbed at my desk. With Eli's support, I hired Diana, an attorney specializing in trust disputes. Diana told me that by mismanaging the trust and diverting funds to Stella, my parents acting as trustees had breached their fiduciary duty, and I was entitled to recover the full amount plus interest. Uncle Ray and Father Paul also stepped forward as witnesses. They'd known about the misused trust for years but had never been able to reason with my parents. My lawyer sent a demand letter to my parents, requiring them to pay back $150,000 in principal, $38,000 in interest, and the $34,400 I'd paid in student loan interest, totaling $222,400. My parents panicked. My mother called, calling me ungrateful and trying to kill them. Stella phoned too, claiming she'd known nothing about the trust, accusing me of being jealous and overreacting. I didn't argue. I simply told them, pay up or see us in court. In the end, my parents agreed to a settlement. They sold the house they'd lived in for 30 years, paid me $188,000, and admitted their wrongdoing. I used the money to pay off my and Eli's student loans. In that moment, the decade-long weight on my chest finally lifted. We bought a small 1,942 cottage with a front porch swing, small, but full of the warmth of a real home. With the remaining money, I established the Clara Education Trust Fund, which awards scholarships each year to Iowa college students without family financial support. The first recipient was a girl named Emma, who shared a similar story to mine. I couldn't protect the little girl I once was, but I could help others like me, kids overlooked by their families, still fighting to shine. I haven't spoken to my parents or Stella in 6 months now. I won't deny the hurt still lingers. I mourn the little girl who should have been cherished, the fair family that never existed. But I no longer feel bitter or small. I wear Grandma Clara's amethyst ring, and with Eli, I've built a warm, peaceful home. I finally understand. Family isn't about blood ties. It's about the people who stand up for you, who stay quietly by your side. True freedom isn't given by others, it's earned. The betrayals and hurts of the past have become my strength, teaching me to love myself and live for me.